Hello, welcome back to my channel. Another day has passed. The highlight of today was that I saw a TikTok from an old Bethany Moda YouTube video. She gave tips on how to not look so messy when you're done with PE in school. So she showed like a little makeup routine you can do after PE is over, only to find out that girl was homeschooled. I don't know why that knocked me out. But today, for our little video diary, we're going to be talking about authenticity. This is something I've been kind of just like screaming about on TikTok recently because I think that there is this obsession. I'm just going to jump right into it. There is this obsession with authenticity. There's this obsession with we want more authentic creators, we want more authentic artists, we have more authentic people need to be more authentic, be more authentic, be yourself, blah blah blah. And it's a good message. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's bad to be yourself. It's a very good message. And it's also a lot of the time given as a way of like, this is going to make things better or easier for you. People are going to like you more if you're yourself. It's more magnetic when you're being authentic. When you're being authentic, you're being outside of the box. You're doing something like who you truly are is going to be different. It's going to push boundaries, right? So especially as an artist, as a creator, whatever, if you want to like put yourself online, being yourself is something that you should think about or consider because it's going to improve how people perceive you, right? So it's almost like this obsession with being yourself is also kind of coming from this almost it's still coming from this insecure place, because it's still coming from the place of like, I want people to like me, so I'm gonna be myself in the hopes that who I am is actually gonna be this like super like cool, like mysterious, like pushing boundaries person, you know? But also I'm not painting all efforts to be yourself in that light and saying that it's all coming from that intention, but there is just a lot of conversations around being yourself, and I have found it to not be like fully helpful, like this focus on being yourself. So I kind of want to talk about why I feel that way and why I feel like being yourself is a bit of a scam. Maybe that's what I'll title this video, to make it a little punchy. First of all, I think that the obsession with being yourself sometimes creates an image in people's minds of what it means to be authentic, and I feel this a lot with fashion, where when it comes to clothes, and it's like if someone has an authentic style or they have their personal style, it's going to be something that's going to be out of the box, you know what I mean? They're going to be wearing like a construction worker's uniform to like the doctor. They're gonna be in like using recycled like water bottles and just like sitting in that in the middle of class, like just in pure plastic or something. Like Lady Gaga's like meat dress, like that's what people are gonna be wearing to the grocery store. Like if you're gonna really dress in the way that you want to, it's gonna be something that's like super like very fashionable, very outside the box. And then you see this people using this to diss them because it creates something in people's heads where it's like, this is what it looks like to be authentic. Then it also creates an image of this is what it means to be inauthentic. And this is where you start to see people that are dissing on basic aesthetics. If you're someone who wants to just wear a t-shirt and jeans and some sneakers, you're basic and you're not fashionable. But that can also be very authentic. It creates this image which then now creates this feeling of performing authenticity. And this is also something I was talking about on TikTok, where now when you're thinking about I need to be authentic, it gives you another thing to be. It gives you another thing to perform. It gives you another thing to keep in mind when you are interacting with other people. It's another thing of I need to be this thing, right? So then what I even found myself doing was like, I would be talking to people and being like, am I being authentic right now? Like, even if I'm like completely fine, comfortable in their interaction, I'm like, but is this me? Is this who I am? And I kept like just having this feeling that who I am is gonna be this like outlandish person, potentially even make people uncomfortable in it being so outside of the box and all of that, right? Which is fundamentally still coming back to this feeling of like creating this image of what it's going to be for me to be authentic, and then kind of like still like waiting for that version of myself, even if I'm literally living as my authentic self right now. Editing me core. But another thing I wanted to add on as like a negative side effect of the obsession with being yourself or thinking hard about being yourself is that a lot of the time when we start to ask ourselves, okay, how do I be myself? We tend to attach onto labels. So it's like, I am an artist, I am a funny person, I am someone who's into fashion, I am a Californian, I am blah blah blah. And then we find these like different adjectives and we look to these different areas of our life to be able to define ourselves. And what ends up happening is that if you ever stray away from these definitions, you start to feel like you're losing yourself. So a really good example of this was like when I was in school, when I took in-person classes, I was always the class clown. Like in middle school, and like elementary school, I was always the class clown, right? And if I ever had a day, I specifically remember having a day where like I just wasn't really in the mood to talk, whatever. I wasn't really talking much in class. And one of my friends looks at me and she's like, "Are you sick? Like, Paris, are you sick? Are you feeling okay?" And I was like, "Oh my God, like I don't behave in the way that I have in the way that I normally do, and suddenly I'm like, there must be something wrong with me, right? And then I start to feel like, is there something wrong with me because I am not being the thing that I've established myself as? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like we attach onto these labels, and then if you're ever, for any reason, not that label, and it's almost like if you're like really attached to being like a Californian, for example, I don't know if that's like random, but if you're really attached to being a Californian, and then like one day you just get this calling to go move and live to like Indiana or something, that can end up causing all this stress and anxiety in your body because you're like, but that's not my identity, you know? So then we make these like, and that comes more from a place, I guess you can say, of misplaced identity, but I do think the obsession with being yourself, because a lot of us don't have a healthy understanding or perception of what it means to be yourself, it can cause you to overly attach onto these things, these outward things, to be like, this is who I am, this is myself. But then if that falls through, now who you are, the concept of who you are, has completely dissolved and erupted. So, another thought. Yeah, so then being authentic becomes another thing to be, which becomes another way for you to patrol yourself and another way for you to be filtering your actions as, am I being authentic right now? Which is helpful. And it's like, out of all the things that you could be considering about the way that you show up in daily interactions, I think asking yourself whether or not you're being authentic is a good thing to be asking yourself, because like a lot of the times we're not being, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so I wanted to talk for a second then about what it actually means to be authentic and how to actually be authentic. I have found myself, the way that I think about it is that authenticity is doing things purely because you want to, and not having your actions, the way you speak, the way you dress, the choices that you make in your life to stem from a place of wanting to please other people, or to stem from other people telling you to do something. I honestly feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm genuinely authentic, and like I am more often than not being myself, which is something that I've been really happy and proud of over myself. But like I've been saying, like I've just been having instances of like feeling like I was being myself, but then having this out of body moment of like, am I being myself though? Like, is this really me? Or am I performing me? Am I doing something that I think is me? And then today I went on a walk and I started to think about this, and I formulated the theory that I think the best thing we can do for ourselves is actually get rid of the idea of authenticity or being yourself altogether. And to kind of, it's just like a little thing I've been flirting with, is to kind of like stop asking myself to be myself and just instead following what feels good. Because I've also realized when I am being myself, the moments in which I'm being authentic, I'm having this feeling of being lit up. I feel like I'm lit up. Like I feel really lit up when I make content. Like I love to just sit and talk. I thoroughly enjoy the sound of my own voice. I love to write music. I love to write in general. I love to analyze lyrics. I love to watch my favorite shows. All of these things invoke a feeling of being lit up. And I think that's a much better feeling to pursue than the idea of being yourself. Solely for these reasons. Now, if most people could probably think about the concept of being themselves and they don't go into this whole like psychoanalyzing moment that I do, but this has just been like a new idea. And this whole video and this whole kind of series I want to start on my channel is just gonna be food for thought. So yeah, today we're just talking about this game of being yourself and a different way of thinking about it and a different way of approaching it. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and give me your firstborn child. And maybe comment down below if this authenticity thing is something that you've been noticing, and if everything I said was me searching for problems or if you actually see where I'm coming from.